Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. And this lady that I'm about to introduce is a British Indian singer and songwriter who can sing in all genres. She sings hip-hop, R&B, reggae, soul, jazz, dance, funk, and Hindu. She's worked with music producer Master Links for years, and I got a chance to check out the music video on YouTube. Please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience, ladies and gentlemen, Taramati. Hi, Taramati. How are you?
Hi there, I'm fine, thank you, and hope you're well too.
Oh, welcome to my podcast. Glad to have you here. It's a pleasure talking with you. You're in the UK. I'm on the East Coast in the NYC. So I'm very fortunate to have you here on my show.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. I've got a bit of disturbance going on as well.
Oh, oh, okay. So at first, we wanted to welcome you on this season of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Pleasure to have you here. So, as always, America doesn't know who you are. The world doesn't know who you are. So, I'm very delighted to interview you on my show.
Thank you very much. All
Okay.
right,
So,
lovely.
okay. So, let us begin, shall we? Now, where were you born?
Wow, I'm actually Indian born. I was born in India, but I don't remember anything because I came to the UK with a family as a baby. So, yes, I've been back a few times, but my life has just like been in the UK, everything from nursery to schooling, college, everything. Yep. So, I think when people hear my British accent, they don't actually believe that I'm Indian born. But there are a lot of Indian families that came over many years ago.
Okay. Now, were your parents or any of your family relatives were in the music industry or that they had 9 to 5 day jobs?
Yeah, they just had 9 to 5 day jobs, mostly. But I did have a brother who used to be in a band, and he like myself, he wanted to pursue music, but he passed away a couple of years ago now. But he always wanted me to succeed and fulfill my dreams. Just like he did. But yeah, so he was the only one who was musically inclined, and like myself, really.
Well, first, my condolences goes out to you in your
Thank you.
loss. Now, which high school did you go to?
I went to a high school called Alberton High School. That's in Wembley. I don't know if you've heard of Wembley.
I've heard
Where
of
this,
Wembley,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So I'm an ex-Wembley girl. Yeah, that's where I went.
Okay. And which college did you go to in the UK?
I went to Harrow College. I spent after school. I spent a couple of years there, and studying a diploma. I ended up with a secretarial diploma. It was one of those subjects whereby you knew you were going to end up with a really well-paid job at the end of it, and that's what I chose at that time.
And what was your major in college?
Well, that's what it was. I ended up with a secretarial diploma, and I know the Americans use the word major, um, but we've got different words here for qualifications.
Now, growing up, did
Mm.
London radio play any of your favorite American artists?
Yeah, even now, I'm in the car. I'm listening to a station called Capital Extra. So you've got the up-to-date hip hop, R&B tracks that the station is playing. Yeah, it's I keep listening to whatever's new coming out. Yeah.
Okay. Now, growing up in London, who were some of your favorite classic soul and today's R&B and hip hop artists?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, Obviously, a lot of my favorites, there quite a lot of them have now passed away. You can't forget the Motown classics. You got the likes of Michael Jacksons, Whitney Houston, and I'd actually seen them in concert. Um, you've got even like the hip hop artists, J. Cole, Drake, and very famous at the moment, isn't it, Kendrick Lamar? And not forgetting Beyonce, Alicia Keys, these top artists um, whose music is just incredible, and obviously inspiring.
And who were your musical influences that had inspired you to sing?
Again, a lot of those Motown artists that I've actually just mentioned, but I love the sound of Mary J. Blige, and you know, I always love the sound of Dame Shirley Bassey. You may have
Yes,
heard of
Shirley
her.
Bassey. I've heard of the singer Shirley Bassey. She'll be best
Yes.
remembered for doing the James Bond 007
Yeah,
theme,
yeah.
Goldfinger and Moonraker and Diamonds Are
That's
Forever.
right. But only just a few years ago, before our Queen passed away, I think on one of the Jubilee celebrations, she was on stage and she was amazing, celebrating the Queen's Jubilee at that time. And she collaborated with one of the British rappers, and that was just an amazing performance that I saw. It just goes to show, two generations collide. Yeah, that was amazing. Yep.
Now, before you got your break, have you worked at any jobs in the UK? And if so, what was your first day job?
God, my first day job was secretarial. I find it very, very boring. Yeah, and it was just like, in the office, yes and no, so all that kind of thing. And it's not really artistic. It like pays a few bills, doesn't it, really? It's not your dream or anything, but it helps you get by, you know. But for a few years now, I've been working as a designer. I feel that as it's still a job whereby I would use artistic skills again. I specialize in fitted furniture in people's homes, so I visit many people's homes to sort their interiors out. So that's what I'm doing right now to pay some bills. Yes.
Well, yeah, as they always say, the money is
Mm,
good, but
mm,
it's the hard part is getting
yeah.
clients. So
Yeah.
if you hear like many jobs like insurance salesman or
Yeah.
furniture or
Yeah.
yes, secretary, when you had to type 59
Yeah.
words a minute and you can't
Yeah.
look at the keys.
Yeah.
So yeah, those
Yeah.
are.
Or don't look at the keys. Yeah, because that's
Hmm.
how you're trained, not to look at the keys and just type blind, really. And I could do
Hmm.
that. Mm.
Yes. Hmm.
Hmm.
Now, have you faced any early resistance? Have you ever been rejected by your family or school or looking for a job?
Well, it's always a challenge when you're looking for a job. That's always the case, But when you mention family, I did mention in my bio, but that they didn't really like me pursuing music because they didn't believe in it. And I do remember when I was a teenager, performing my first solo performance. I had to hide the fact that I was involved in a major solo performance at school. I mean, I managed to keep it a secret, and it was just unbelievable that I had to actually do that because they didn't like me pursuing that side of things. But where jobs were concerned, I think anybody can tell you that they've had some form of rejection. But it doesn't matter, wherever one door closes, 10 possibly could open. I always have to look at it that way.
Yeah, same thing for me here in the United States. There's an
Mm,
old saying
mm,
when the door closes, another one
mm,
opens. Because
mm.
as a former Viacom CBS Paramount employee, had
Wow,
me working in the corporate media for 35 years
wow,
in the mailroom and messenger
mm-hmm.
center. At first, I had applied for videotape clerk over
Wow,
at the CBS Broadcast Center in New York City
okay.
back in July of 1989. So
Mm,
I didn't get that position.
mm.
So I ended up being a mailroom clerk at the BlackRock headquarters at 51
Right,
West 52nd Street, the main office.
okay.
In other words, doing paperwork. So
Mm.
that's what I've been doing for 35 years, uh,
Wow.
taking calls and picking up their boxes, whether it's for UPS or FedEx
Mm,
or DHL. So
mm.
when I was doing messenger work, the dispatchers would send me upstairs to all CBS floors to get those boxes or packages that needs to go out and give it to the outside messenger and get it out right away. So if
Yeah.
it's like tickets or if it's some documents that needs to be signed in a rush, we had to get it out right away. So the same thing
Wow.
when I moved up
Mm.
to be messenger dispatcher, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the money was there. The money
Yeah.
was there. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's a lot of uh, chances. And yes, a lot of sacrifices that you got to
Mm-hmm.
put your butt on the line. So
Yeah.
I've taken all the licks that I have taken for those years,
Yeah.
getting calls and saying, Sam, get this package out right away. It's
Yeah.
very important. So they need that, whether it's for a meeting or if it's for
Yeah.
tickets for the Grammys or the U.S. Open
Wow. Yeah.
or for the upfronts that we do every May when the LA
Mm-hmm.
folks come into town to give you what's the new fall season looks
Mm.
like, what's the new shows, what's going to be on, and what are some of the returning shows. So if
Mm.
your show wasn't on the list, that means it got canceled. That was
Right.
back then. So now we got streaming services. So if your show is not on CBS or NBC or
Yeah.
ABC or Fox, then
Yeah.
your favorite show has been moved to the streaming service. So
Right.
CBS had Paramount Plus, NBC has Peacock, ABC has Disney Plus, and Fox
Mm.
has Hulu. So every show that will come in to fill in those spots, and they have to look at the ratings, and they have to look for the sponsors. So if any show that fits for prime time or for daytime or late night, that's up to the affiliates where they have all of the networks that is not owned by CBS or
Mm.
NBC or
Mm.
ABC or Fox. So that's up to the affiliates. So that's
Mm.
how it works. And marketing and promoting, that's important too. Same thing with favorite singers.
Yeah.
So it's up to the record companies when they have to market it, the artist, and promote it. They will have to send it to the promotional copies to the radio stations. And yes, we'll have to send it to the talk shows
Sure.
in daytime or late night television to promote their artists. And yes, when you hear that song on the radio, and if that song is a greatest airplay, if
Mm.
it gets to like in the top 10, if it
Mm-hmm.
gets to like the top 5 songs on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts or Billboard's Soul Singles charts or Billboard's R&B Black Singles charts and Hip Hop Singles charts, as well as the gospel albums and jazz albums and Latin albums and Caribbean albums. It lets the audience know that their favorite song is a top 10 hit. And if it gets the best airplay, that artist
Yeah.
will perform that song, whether it's on American Bandstand or Soul Train or the
Sure.
Midnight Special or Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold or
Mm-hmm.
any of the music videos back in the 80s when you had MTV and VH1 and BET and some of the other music channels that gets the best airplay ever. So that's how it works when
Yeah.
it comes to marketing and promoting. So it's really a struggle, especially we're here in the media world, and that takes guts. So as
Yeah.
you can see now, many of the many record labels have been merging during before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and now we're in a post-pandemic. And now I've seen a couple of our favorite artists are no longer on the major record labels, so they're
Right.
going
They
independent.
independent. Yes.
So now the independent labels are growing slowly but
Mm.
surely.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, so many of our favorite singers who have gone independent, they can collaborate or who they can collaborate with without having the record CEO dictators dictate to them and saying you can't collaborate with this artist or you can't sing that song. You know, uh, it pleases them. But as you know, the old saying, it's the rest is history. If that song becomes a hit, it becomes a hit. That's it.
Sure.
Close the books. So that's how it is right now. Many of our artists, like Alicia Keys and Sheryl Crow,
Yeah.
they've gone independent. So
Wow.
they can record or collaborate or who they can collaborate with.
With,
So
yeah.
that's what you're
Yeah. No
seeing.
one's dictating to them, right?
Right.
Mm.
Now, how would you describe your sound? Because, like I said early in the intro, when I
Mm.
saw your video on YouTube, you had a blend of everything. How would you
Yeah.
describe your sound? It's Hindi or Hindu music
Well,
mixing with
um,
R&B and hip hop.
well, what it is, it's some in some of my tracks, I've written some Hindi lyrics, to basically make it sound different, can I say? But also, it's not act. It's not forgetting my own culture. Um, I just wanted to have some sort of a unique sound. It's not on all the tracks that I do, but it depending on what project I'm working on. For instance, I'm working on a track right now called "Dancing in the Sun." I haven't finished it, and I'm actually singing some lyrics in Hindi. Um, and because there's so much going on in the music industry, if I give you an example, Ed
Hmm.
Sheeran's music, he didn't actually realize that most of his audience just happened to be in India. Yeah. And it was only when he was given the demographics and the data regarding and who buys his music, he decided to take a trip to India and he spent months out there creating new music because he had no idea at first who was buying his music. So he's kind of like jumped on the bandwagon and he's now singing in Punjabi.
Mm.
Yeah. So, you got to stop and think about who's buying your music, the demographics. And when you stop and think about, was it 1.4 billion people in India? And as you know, Bollywood is massive. It's literally been taking over the world. So many people have adopted Bollywood to so many things. And I know that the hip hop industry has taken some samples and just put it on their tracks, like Lata Mangeshkar is on, like, is it Missy Elliott's tracks, etc. So people are listening to it. But with me, I don't do the sampling. I literally write a few lines in Hindi, but original um, lines, and I do add it to my music.
Mm, okay. Well, I'm glad you brought up Ed Sheeran because we first heard him here in the United States back in around 2019 with his
Yeah,
debut song "Shape of You," and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, okay." So he's going into different experiments. So he's
yeah,
dipping into some different genres, whether it's
yeah.
Caribbean or Ireland or mixture or blend of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Hindu, so he's
Mm,
experimenting some different things. So as a DJ, I'll be
mm.
playing gigs at different events, and I said, let's mix some of this, mix some of the reggae dance hall, mix some of the reggae dance hall artists, and mixing with some Drake and mixing with some Ed Sheeran. So it kind of
Okay.
like mix it in, blends it with the beats. So I always, you know, trick the crowd and everything. So
Mm,
that's what DJs do. They always
yeah.
trick the crowd, but pay
Mm-hmm.
close attention to the beats because it's just like everything. You got to put it in the mix. So Ed Sheeran, I do have a couple of his songs that I downloaded from iTunes, and I use that for many of the events. So whatever
All right.
DJ gig I go to,
Mm, mm-hmm.
I always and everything.
Yeah.
Now, yes. Now, how does your singing voice matches all of those genres that I just mentioned?
Well, I don't know if it actually matches, but it depends on what I'm singing. And generally, when I'm working with the music, sometimes I'm hearing a beat, and then I'm actually singing a melody which I feel sits on top of it. And obviously, the method in which I'm in singing is that the correct way of interpreting it, really. So if you listen to my tracks, various tracks, I'm sounding different on everything. So I don't really know if it sort of matches, but I try to make it quite unique sounding. But the reason why, I mentioned Shirley Bassey, because I remember doing an audition for somebody um, with one of my original tracks. And the chap I was auditioning for said, "Oh, have you heard of Shirley Bassey?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "So it reminds me of her." I mean, people say different things, and people have said Shirley Bassey, Eartha Kitt, um, and was it the female artist from Black Eyed Peas, Fergie? Yeah,
Yes, Fergie.
yeah,
Hmm.
Fergie. So a lot of people are hearing a lot of these artists in my vocals, and they're all very, very different. So, I wouldn't really stick to just one, but it really does depend on what I'm singing. Yeah,
Okay. Now, I did get a chance to check out your music video on
right.
YouTube. Here I Come, that's the name of
Yeah,
the song.
yeah,
And you have with special guest Master Links.
yeah.
Now, tell us, our audience, on what that song was all about.
No, to be honest, it's just a fun song. I heard the beat, and you sort of like say, "I'm so sweet, I'm so whatever," right? But it's just a fun song. A lot of people writing about that kind of thing, and um, it's just fun, really.
Hmm, okay.
Yeah.
Now, who are some of the artists that you have collaborated so far? Or are you going to be collaborating any artists, or any new music will be coming out soon?
Well, in the past, I've collaborated with the artists already at Masterlinks Productions. You've got artists like Curfew, Bodega, Masterlinks himself, and there's a reggae artist called Trix, also known as Patrick. We've got a lot of tracks together, a lot of collaborations, and I also collaborated with a Asian Indian music director here in the UK called Kuljit Bamra. I actually did a voiceover actually for the BBC. A few years ago, there was a program called Bollywood Carmen, and I was actually voicing for an actress called Chelsea Healy. And I swear people must have thought it was her, but it wasn't. I did two songs for her. And funny enough, the BBC never gives you the credits at the end that they promised. But I collaborated with the BBC before a few years ago. But there's lots of people I'd like to collaborate with. But if there was an offer on the table,
So you mentioned the BBC. So here in
mm,
America, when we have like artists that I mentioned, the music shows, and also the networks that they are on. So most of the time they do get appreciated, but on your side, across the world, I know
yeah,
that depending on what networks that they'll have you on, some say
yeah,
we'll give you credit, and some will say, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
they
that's
they
very
they
hard.
did that to myself and another singer. That two of us, well, obviously our faces were not seen. We just ended up on the tracks together vocally, and not recognized. And you know, they sort of like told us porcupines, and there you go. But when it was actually aired, you're looking for your name at the end, and no, it wasn't to be seen. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, as they all say, is there's a lot of catching up to do. So somebody has to give you the credit and
yeah,
everything. So I'm just hoping and praying that they will have
mm,
something in somewhere in the future and somewhere
yeah.
in your time.
Hmm.
Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living
Mm,
or dead, which
mm.
artists you wish you wanted to meet or to perform with?
There's so many, but the artist I would say who's more current in the UK. You've probably heard of Stormzy. Have you heard of Stormzy, grime artist?
No, never heard of
No.
that artist.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
yeah, he's really big here in the UK. Um, but from what I'm understanding, like I know America is hooking onto the British artists, but he's actually a really big name in the UK. But there are a lot of American artists very much like to collaborate with, but I don't know if that would ever happen. So I'm still holding on for that.
Mm,
Mm,
okay. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience, I always
mm,
ask my guests who are
mm,
the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. Now, since I have you, Taramati, we're going
mm,
to do the Black Soul Music Experience top 10 hip hop and R&B and reggae dance hall
mm.
artists of all time. Now,
Well,
here's how it works. We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem here in the United States. We
hmm,
started at the bottom five, so we always
hmm.
figure out who was the best artist but didn't
Oh,
get
wow.
any recognition.
Oh,
And then when we
wow.
get to the top five, then we
Yeah.
get to find out who was the best artist who had the best million selling songs and LPs of all time. That artist had those top 10 number one hits, that artist had a song that had a gold or platinum that sold over copies, did that artist had those gold albums or platinum albums or double platinum or triple platinum or today's diamond platinum that sold over 10
Wow.
million copies
I
in
wouldn't know
print.
those answers. So this is a
Or,
test?
well, yeah. So I always have trivia
Oh my
knowledge. So
gosh.
I always tell my guests to have their thinking caps on. But we'll get through it. We got time. And
Oh
as I
wow.
said, that artist performed on American Bandstand or Soul Train or the Midnight
Mm-hmm.
Special or NBC's
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live or
Oh,
Solid
we don't
Gold
get that here,
or
right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
or or did that artist had that music video which was aired either on MTV or VH1
Yeah.
or BET or any other music video platforms? Or did
Yeah.
that artist had their own primetime special, whether it's on
Oh.
CBS or NBC or ABC on and yes, where you're at
Oh.
on the BBC, or
Okay.
did that artist performed on PBS, whether it's great performances, or did they had that special
Right.
during Pledge Month? Or did
Okay.
that artist have that live concert special on HBO or Showtime? So,
Okay.
as I said, this is our
All
top
right. Well,
10.
you
So, are
you
you
better
ready
wish
to
me luck,
take
because
that
I'm,
challenge?
okay. I've only been on one
Okay.
game show before. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, who should be at number 10?
Number 10. Oh my God. I don't know who the number 10 is. Um, God, I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's at number 10.
Okay. Well, I'll put something at number 10. We'll start off with Shabba Ranks. So, Shabba Ranks came on the scene back in the mid 90s, and he was the
Wow.
first reggae artist to be on a major record label. Now, when I was at CBS, CBS Records was still in the building, even though CBS Records was sold to Sony back in 1987. And then I
Right.
came on board 2 years later in 1989. Records was still in the building, so they had their first major reggae dancehall artist on a major record label.
Right.
And his debut LP was called as Raw as Ever. He had two songs, including Trailer Load of Girls and his top 10 hit House Call with special guest Maxi Priest. Now, I saw the
Okay,
music
I'm
video
familiar with
on
him.
BET.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I saw the music video on BET and the other one, House Call. It was aired both on MTV and BET and
Mm.
VH1. So that was a crossover hit. And yes, most of those reggae dancehall songs we playing at the Caribbean nightclubs, as well as some of the American nightclubs. And I mentioned the video platforms BET and VH1. So he had some hits back in the 90s, but we haven't heard from him in a while since he was the first major artist to be on a major record label. So I'm going to
Right. So
put
he was in 10th
Shabba
position?
Ranks. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the beginning, he got some
Yeah.
success, but then
Yeah.
during the later 90s and 2000, um, didn't get that much singing. So nothing couldn't
Okay.
compare to those
Okay.
two
I'm
songs
just
that I
gonna
just
get
mentioned.
my battery connector. Hold on.
Okay.
Happens. Okay, I've changed position. All right. So, okay.
Okay. Who should be at number 9?
Well, I don't know. I don't. I've not studied anything like what position people have been in. I don't think I can answer any of these.
Okay, I'm going to fill in for you. So
Yeah, go ahead.
we'll put, okay, we'll put Shirley Bassey at number 9. So
Wow.
I've heard of Shirley Bassey before, as I mentioned. She's best known for the James Bond 007 theme
Yeah.
songs. I
Yeah.
can name one of them for you. One was Goldfinger
Goldfinger.
back in
Diamonds are forever.
1965. The other one, Diamonds Are Forever, 1971, and Moonraker,
Moonraker.
1979. So she'll be best remembered for those theme songs.
Yeah.
And me growing up, I was trying to figure out who is 007. So he's like the superhero, like Superman and Batman and Spider Man. But he's the
He's a
superhero
Br-
for the,
he's a British spy.
yes, for
Yeah.
the
Yes.
grown folks. So I'll
Yes.
be watching a few of those movies on
Yeah.
TV and saw a couple of them on the silver screen. When you have
Yeah.
those gadgets like couplings, for example,
Mm.
it can be used like
Yeah.
beep, beep. Same thing with Wonder Woman. And
Yeah.
also when you have the car, the BMW, and also some of the other ones, including that camouflage car that can turn into like a ghost, and then by the time it flashes. So I was intrigued by all of the 007 movies when you had those
Yeah.
gadgets, whether it's couplings or cars
Yeah.
or some other
A
things.
pen, a
So I
watch.
was, yes. So I was intrigued by that.
Mm.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to put Shirley Bassey down at
Bessie.
number 9. Okay, now number 8, I'm going to put down Billy Ocean. Billy Ocean, for those of you who may not know,
Yeah,
is
I
a
saw him
singer
on
from the
TV not so
UK.
long ago, actually. Mm.
Yes, Billy
Mm.
Ocean. He's known for his debut single, One of Those Nights You Feel Like Getting Down. Came out in the summer of 1981 and follow up in
No, it gets tough.
1984, his number one hit, Caribbean Queen,
Yeah.
and his other ones, including Suddenly and There'll Be Sad Songs to Make You Cry, Love Song, just to name a few. So
Mm.
he's still performing, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's on the major record labels
No, no, he
anymore.
appears on TV. So, yeah, I mean, gosh, I remember, what is it they were talking about? He did the film, didn't he? Romancing the Stone songs.
Yes.
Yes.
When the going gets tough, the tough gets
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. And I saw the music video too, with the regulars, Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito. So that was that sequel, Jewel in the
Yeah.
Nile. That was the sequel
Yeah.
from The Romancing the Stone. So we'll put Billy Ocean at number 8. Alrighty. Who should be at number 7?
James Brown.
Yes, James Brown, the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown, made his debut back in 1956 with his song Please, Please, Please. And then during the 60s, he had Prisoner of Love, You're Out of Sight, and I Got You. And then
Yeah.
by in the late 60s, he's gotten into political songs, including Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm
Mm.
Proud, and
Yeah.
I Don't Want Nobody, Give Me Nothing. And then when
Mm.
the 70s came in, he had some of the drummers doing those different kind of beats. He got into the 70s, including Sex Machine, Payback,
Oh,
The Funky
yeah.
President, Get Up Off of That Thing, just to name a few. And yes, in case you may not know, hip
Mm.
hop was
Mm.
influenced by James Brown because of
Yeah.
his riffs and beats. So a
Yeah.
lot of hip hop artists be sampling all the stuff from James Brown. And he kept on performing during the 80s and 90s, had been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1986. He had appeared in The Blues Brothers in 1980 and its sequel in 1998. He had made a couple of TV appearances. He had appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show and also performed on Soul Train. He made a TV appearance on the comedy show called Amen, aired on NBC back in 1991. And he received the American Music Award of Merit in 1992. He had appeared in a music video cameo appearance in MC Hammer's video Too Legit to Quit. So, in case you may not know, many stars had influence by James Brown, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince, and MC Hammer. They were all influenced by James
By him.
Brown. And as I
Yeah.
mentioned, hip hop was influenced by James Brown. So he kept on performing until he passed away on Christmas
Yeah.
Day of
Wow.
2006. So we was at that funeral at the Apollo Theater in the village of Harlem. Let me tell you, that line was long, all the way
Wow.
from West 125th Street to around the corner on Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. Let me tell you, you would not get in. But many
Mm.
people were there, and that was the king of pop, Michael Jackson, and
Mm.
the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Mm.
So it was enormous when they all came by and paid their last respects to the godfather of soul. And yes, there was a movie out that came out in 2014 called Get On Up. That's the James Brown story.
That
And the
track.
late
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman
Mm.
played
Mm.
the role of James Brown. I saw the movie on cable, 2 hours and 18 minutes, and I saw it again on YouTube. So let me tell you, this was the story of James Brown. And as I
Brown.
mentioned, so many of hip hop have sampled from James Brown. A lot of influences, as I mentioned, Michael Jackson,
Mm.
Prince, and
Mm.
MC Hammer.
Including the
They were
moonwalk.
all, yes, including the moonwalk and everything, and the splits and everything. So I was saying, like, I can't do the splits like James Brown and everything. Yes. So rest in peace to the godfather of soul, Mr. James
James
Brown.
Brown.
Okay. Have anything for number 6?
Aretha Franklin.
Ah, yes, the Queen of Soul, the late Aretha Franklin. She came on the scene nationwide in 1967 with
Mm-hmm.
her number one hit, Respect, which was originally written by the late Otis Redding, although it
Mm,
wasn't a hit for him, but it became a
mm,
hit for her and made it
mm,
number one on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts and
mm.
number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts. And that
Yeah,
song was later used as a women's empowerment song.
yeah.
So, yes, Aretha Franklin had been singing genres. She would
Mm,
sing gospel, she would sing pop, and yes, she had dipped into some other genres. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But
mm.
Aretha Franklin had won all the accolades. She won a Grammy Award, an American Music Award, first lady to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1987, and a Kennedy Center honoree for the class of 1993. So let me tell you, she have sung in all genres. I'll give you an example. When she performed live at the Grammy Awards on CBS back in 1998, now Luciano Pavarotti was supposed to
Yeah.
perform, but he wasn't feeling well. So the producers have came to Aretha and said, "Can you do this?" And Aretha said, "I'll give it a shot." So then by the time she performed on stage, oh my goodness, he got a standing ovation.
Wow.
Every performer in the audience, they were saying, "Bravo, bravo." And then some of these were in tears when they heard it. Aretha doing opera for the first time. And that was on the list on VH1's 100 Greatest Moments of Rock and Roll that appeared on television. So I believe that was at number 55. So when we had the 1998 Grammy Awards, those were some of the artists who had made appearances on television, whether it's on daytime, prime time, or late night, or they have appeared in many variety specials or shows or just come up unexpectedly. So we'll put Aretha Franklin at number 6. All right, who should be at number 5?
Oh gosh. I don't know. You've got the likes of Prince. I don't know. Mariah, haven't we? Diana Ross. Hello.
Okay. We'll do it as a tie. We'll put
Mm,
Mariah Carey and Diana Ross on there. We'll put it as a tie. Now, at first, Diana Ross was the
mm,
lead singer of the Supremes on
yeah,
Motown. Back in
yeah.
1963, they made their appearance. They had number one hits, including Where Did Our Love Go, Stop in the Name of Love, Come See
Mm,
About Me,
mm-hmm,
The Happening, and
mm,
all those top 10 number one hits. So Diana Ross was the lead singer from its inception. By the time she left in 1969, their last number one hit was Someday We'll Be Together. Then she went solo in 1970 with her number one hits Ain't No Mountain High Enough,
mm,
followed by Touch Me in the Morning, and
yeah,
also the theme from Mahogany. She
mm,
made her acting debut in 1972 with her movie Lady Sings the Blues. It was a story about Lady Day, Billie Holiday. And
yeah,
she was in another movie called Mahogany. I mentioned the theme song, and she had some other hits, including Love Hangover, number one hit on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, and also number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts, and it was a top 10 hit on Billboard's Disco charts. So she had appeared some other movies, including the movie version of The Wiz
yeah,
with the late
yeah,
Michael Jackson and Nipsey
yeah,
Russell and Ted Ross and Mabel King and Lena Horne and Richard Pryor. So that was the good all star cast. And then
yeah,
by 1981, she had a duet with Lionel Richie of the Commodores, Endless
yeah,
Love, number one hit. It was from the movie starring Brooke Shields. So that was a number one hit. And then she switched over to RCA Records with a remake of Why Do Fools Fall in Love. That was from her debut LP on the RCA label. Then she had another LP and they had the song called Muscles, which was written by Michael Jackson. And she had some other hits during the 80s and then went back home to Motown but do one more album. And now she's doing a little bit of jazz here and there.
Mm.
So we'll put
She was
Diana Ross.
here a couple of years ago doing Glastonbury.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, she was
we'll put
headlining.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cause she's just had some couple of jazz albums out so far. So we'll put Diana
Mm.
Ross and we'll put a tie with Mariah Carey. Now,
Yeah.
Mariah Carey came on the scene back in 1990 with her debut song called Vision of Love. That was coming from her self titled debut LP on the Columbia label. She performed that song on the Arsenio Hall show, and then she performed that song again on NBC Saturday Night Live back in September of 1990, and the guest host was the late Patrick Swayze. She had some other hits, including Someday and Vision, not Vision of Love. Love Takes Time to Heal, and came out with her second LP, Emotions, that had the song Emotions, Make It Happen, and the list goes on and on and on. She did an MTV Unplugged LP with a remake of the Jackson 5's I'll Be There, and she had some other hits. She dipped it into some R&B for a bit and everything. So Mariah Carey is still performing. She's mixing up
Mm.
everything, whether it's pop or today's hip hop and R&B. And
Mm.
she won an American Music Award and a Grammy Award for the self-titled debut LP. So we'll put a tie with Mariah Carey and Diana
Diana
Ross
Ross.
at number 5.
Yeah.
Who should be at number 4?
Oh, we're getting higher now. So Whitney's got to be up there.
Okay, we'll put the princess of pop, Whitney Houston.
Mm.
She is the cousin
Yeah.
of Dionne Warwick. Her
Yes.
mother is the late
Yes.
Cissy Houston,
Yes.
and yes, they are not related to singer Thelma Houston, so that's no
Okay.
relation to that one.
Yeah.
So, coming out of East Orange, New Jersey, Whitney Houston made her debut back in 1985 with the late Teddy Pendergrass performing Hold Me in Your Arms Tonight. And then her debut LP came on the
Yeah.
scene back in the spring of 1985 with her first song, You Give Good Love, which is produced by Kashif. And her debut LP has been produced by different producers. Her LP was a million seller. It sold over a million copies in print. She won an American Music Award and a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Her follow up LP, Whitney, had some few songs, including Oh, I Wanna Dance with Somebody, and follow ups, including Where Do Broken Hearts Go and Didn't We Almost Have It All,
Mm.
and So Emotional, and the remake
Mm.
of the Isley Brothers For the Love of You,
Mm.
and came back with her third LP, including I'm Your Baby Tonight. Her third album was produced by LA and Babyface, had a couple of hits, and yes, she performed those songs on NBC Saturday Night Live back in 1991. And she's to be best known for a couple of remakes, including The Greatest Love of All, performed by
Mm.
George Benson,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned For the Love of You from the Isley Brothers, and the remake of I Believe in You and Me by the Four Tops. And that was
Mm.
used in the movie The Preacher's Wife, which is the remake of The Bishop's Wife, which starred
Okay.
Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And it had an all star cast, which had Lionel Richie, Jennifer Lewis, Gregory Hines, Courtney B. Vance, just to name a
Wow.
few. So the movie was directed by the late Penny Marshall from Laverne and Shirley. And they both appeared on NBC Saturday Night Live back in December of 1996. So I love Whitney when she was in that skit where they had all of the choirs were singing, and then Molly Shannon's character, Mary Catherine Gallagher, she's the one who'd be like breaking all of the chairs and everything. So we're gonna put Whitney up there, and she had
Yeah,
appeared in movies. She was in The Bodyguard. She was
yeah.
in Waiting to Exhale. I mentioned The Preacher's Wife on
Mm,
TV. She was on NBC Saturday Night Live, and yes, she made a couple of episodes on NBC Silver Spoons. Been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the
mm.
class of 2020. So rest in peace to the princess of pop, Miss Whitney Houston. All right, we're up to number three.
Gosh, wow. Did we mention Beyonce?
No, we haven't, but we'll put Beyonce on there. Beyonce, yes. Came on the scene in 1998 with the group Destiny's Child, and then by 2003, she went solo with her debut single, Dangerously Crazy in Love, followed by Me, Myself, and I.
Mm,
And also, she had did some other albums. She broke into acting with her acting debut called The Fighting Temptations, which starred Cuba Gooding Jr. and the late Angie Stone and Melba Moore, just to name a few. And she's broken into other grounds. She's breaking into some genres.
mm.
She did the song called Daddy's Lesson. That's just a country song. That's from her
Okay.
LP Lemonade. And she performed the song with the Dixie Chicks, which is now called the Chicks. And when I was watching something on YouTube on how that African Americans created country music, and when
Yeah.
you hear so many country music fans are always saying, "Why is Beyonce on the stage with the chicks? She should be in her R&B hip hop field, not country
Right.
music." Well,
Yeah.
we're here to tell you folks that country music was made by us black folks. So
Right.
when
Yeah.
she had her country album, Cowboy Carter,
Mm,
that album
mm,
went to number
mm,
one on Billboard's top 200 albums charts and number one on Billboard's country albums charts. And when
mm.
I was watching the Grammy Awards and when I heard that Taylor Swift was presenting it and the winner
Yeah.
was Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, was like, ow! And
Yeah.
Beyonce was passing the test. So even though I got snubbed by the Academy of Country Music Awards and the
Mm-hmm,
CMA
mm,
Awards,
mm.
well, she won that Grammy for that country album.
Yeah.
She won 3 awards, including Best Album and Best Song. That was the duet with
Mm,
Miley Cyrus.
mm-hmm.
And there was another song I forgot on there. Oh, Texas Hold'em. Yeah. So when that song Texas Hold'em came out, it was playing at the black clubs, after work parties. So then when I was hearing it, I said, okay, we're doing that line dance. And I've downloaded that song. I had that song. I did a gig back in December of 2024, and the ladies came up to me and said, "What kind of line dance you got?" They don't want to hear no electric slide. They don't want to hear the Cupid shuffle, and they don't want to hear the Casper slide. They want something new. So I told them I got the Texas Hold'em. They said, "Okay, play that." And they were doing a new line dance. I was like, oh, okay. So they're doing the new line dance, and I'm watching all that stuff on YouTube. So
Yeah.
they like it. So they like it so much that's the best airplay ever. So we'll put Beyonce at number three. Groundbreaking everything in hip hop and R&B, and now country, including the country album Cowboy Carter. So hats off to Beyonce.
All right.
All right, who should be at number two?
Oh gosh. Number two. Wait, oh wait, oh you know what? I don't know who number two is, but I would have thought number one's got to be Michael Jackson.
Okay, we'll put Michael at number one. So I'm
Yeah.
going to I'll put Stevie Wonder at number
Of
two.
course, of course, of course.
So
Stevie
Stevie
Wonder.
Wonder performed when he was 12 years old, been on
Yeah.
Motown since 1963 with his songs including Fingertips. and then some other hits, including the 60s, including For Once in My Life, My Sharia
Mm,
Moore. Then in the 70s with Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. And then by 1973, he shifted gears. So after the success of the late Marvin Gaye of What's Going On, Stevie
mm,
picked up where he left off at,
mm,
where he had his concept album Inner Visions, where he had the song called Living for the City. Now, that song has dealt with systemic racism. And his other song, Too High, although Too High didn't become a hit, but that song was dealing with drug addiction. So he had those two songs, and his album was a huge success. Won him a Grammy Award for Best Album, and he had some other songs, including You Haven't Done Nothing, number one, back in the fall of 1974. He had other LPs, including Songs in the Key of Life, which includes As and Isn't She Lovely. And by 1980, he had the LP called Hotter Than July with his number one hit, Master Blaster Jammin', which was number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts back in the fall of 1980. And yes, he dedicated that song in memory of the late Bob Marley. So then on that LP, Hotter Than July, that album was dedicated in the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.,
mm,
which
mm,
includes that title track, Happy Birthday.
mm.
So when we have birthday parties, we don't sing that
Yes,
old
yes, so
happy
do we.
birthday song.
We always
We
play.
sing the Stevie Wonder version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Always.
every afterward party I go to, if anyone's
Yeah.
celebrating a birthday, they ain't playing that other one. They playing the Stevie Wonder version.
Stevie Wonder goes
So
first, and then the second one is Cool in the Gang. Celebrate good times.
yes, so
Always.
and not only that, we'll put Cool again with a tie with Stevie Wonder. So you
Yeah.
mentioned Cool and the Gang, so we'll put that at a tie with number two. Cool and the Gang came
Mm,
on the scene in the fall of 1969. They were known back then as the Jazzy Acts. So the group
mm.
had played all genres. They were playing smooth
Okay.
jazz or acid jazz, and then they would play funk and soul and then disco, and they were playing R&B and pop. So they're still performing today. Although there are some members are no longer with us, but they
Mm,
still performing.
mm,
So Cool and the Gang was there doing all genres. You mentioned the song Celebration. That
mm,
was the top 10 hit back in December of 1980, and the song went to number one back in
mm.
January of 1981. And that song was later used because at that time, our 50 American hostages were free from Iran. And I remember
Right.
it well because back in 1981, during Inauguration Day, when
Mm,
Reagan came in as the
mm,
40th President of the United
mm-hmm,
States, we was
mm,
all listening to the inauguration address. It was around 11:30. I was in math class.
mm,
And by the
mm.
time when I went to lunch at 12 noon, we heard the announcement that all of the 50 American hostages were free. So we were
Yeah.
all cheering. So that song was used as an anthem for the hostages that was coming home from Iran. So we're putting a tie with Stevie Wonder, singer, songwriter, arranger, Grammy Award winner, American Music Award winner, Oscar winner for the song I Just Called to Say I Love
I love
You,
you. Yeah.
and inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the
Yeah.
class of 1989 and a Kennedy Center honoree for the class of 1999. And we'll put Cool in the Gang. That's
Yeah.
the group that did all genres. So we'll put that as a tie for Stevie Wonder and Cool in the Gang. And number one, we'll put the king of pop last, Michael Jackson. Made his debut with his brothers in 1969 with their debut LP, Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5, with their hits including I Want You Back, Who's Loving You, just to name a few. And then in 1970, their second LP, ABC, which includes ABC, The Love You Saved, just to name a few. And their third album, which is entitled Third Album, includes the song
Mm.
I'll Be There. And then 1971 with their fourth album, Maybe Tomorrow, includes the song Never Can Say Goodbye. And that song was written by Clifton Davis. That's the same Clifton Davis who was from the show That's My Mama on ABC and Amen on NBC. And now he's on the soap opera called Beyond the Gates on
Right.
CBS Daytime. So
Mm.
Clifton Davis, he was a songwriter back then. I didn't know. I only knew him from acting, but he wrote that song that later became a remake for the late Isaac Hayes and then
Mm.
later Gloria Gaynor in the disco version. So
Right.
Michael also had a couple of solo LPs, including Got to Be There. That includes the song Got to Be There and also Ben from the 1972 movie. That's the sequel to the movie Willard. And also other LPs, including Dancing Machine, and then he and his brothers left Motown for CBS Records. They had their LP called The Jacksons. So you just had Michael, Marlon, Tito, Jackie, and Randy. So Jermaine was left out. So they were on their
Oh,
own.
right.
At the same time, they had their
Mm.
own summer variety series on
Mm-hmm.
CBS, along with the Jackson sisters, Rebe, Latoya, and Janet.
Mm.
And they was on there for 2 seasons. So they kept their records. They teamed up with Gamble and Huff. And then by 1978, they were on their own with their hits, including Shake Your Body Now Down to the Ground. And Michael had teamed up with Quincy Jones with his
Yeah.
LP Off the Wall, with his hits, including Off the Wall, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and his second solo LP, Thriller, once again teamed up with Quincy Jones, including You Want to Be Starting Something, and also The Girl Is Mine with Paul McCartney. Other songs including Thriller, Beat It, PYT, Human Nature, and Billie Jean. That was a number one hit on Billboard Soul Singles Charts back in March of 1983. It stayed there for 9 weeks. And back in 1984, he was at the American Music Awards. He swept the night. He won for Best R&B Soul Single, Best Pop, and Best Pop Rock Music Video. And yes, he was influenced by the movies. I saw the 15-minute music video Thriller, and that had the Playboy Playmate Ola Ray, and of
Right.
course, narration of the late Vincent Price. And that music video was
Mm-hmm.
directed by
The
John
horror
Landis.
movie man.
And also, he did another music video called Bad, which was from his third solo LP, produced by Quincy Jones. Another music video directed by Martin Scorsese, the one who directed Goodfellas. He had an
Yeah.
upcoming actor, Wesley Snipes. He was in the music video, and they filmed it at the White Skimmerhorn Street in the Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn, New York. And then his fourth solo LP, Dangerous, which had the song Black and White. Now, I saw that music video for the first time
Mm-hmm.
on Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and 15-minute music video appearances by George Wendt and Tess Harper and Macaulay Culkin, and another group called Another Bad Creation. And even though they had to edit the scene after was holding his crotch, and they had to tone
Sure.
it down when they had to put it on MTV
Yeah.
and VH1. So that was directed by John Landis. And his second song, Remember the Time, that too aired on Fox. And it
Mm.
had cameo appearances by Eddie Murphy, Iman, and Magic Johnson. And that
Mm.
music video was directed by the late John Singleton. So Michael had a string of hits back in the 80s
Yeah.
and
One
90s where
after
we
the other.
one after the other.
Yeah.
And many artists were influenced by the king of pop. I can name them: Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Chris Brown, and Usher, and Justin Bieber. They were all influenced by the king of pop, Michael Jackson, and Christina Aguilera too. They were all influenced by the king of pop. Just like the
mm,
same way Michael Jackson was influenced by the godfather of soul, James Brown.
mm, mm,
So every dancer were influenced by their dancing, the splits, and all of the above. And Michael kept on performing until he passed away in 2009. His last song was
mm,
called This Is It. It was kind of
mm,
like the concert documentary film.
mm,
So
mm.
Michael
I've
Jackson
seen it, yeah.
touched, yes, he turned
Mm,
everything into gold.
okay.
American Music Award winner, Grammy Award winner, been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, both with his brothers in 1997 and then solo in 2001. So rest in peace to the king of pop, Mr. Michael Jackson. Well, there we have it. Our top 10 R&B black artists and reggae dance artists of all time. So I see it wasn't I know it wasn't hard. Yes. So
All right.
Taramati, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure talking with you and continued success on your performing, and hopefully we'll see some new music from you very soon.
Sure. I'll definitely let you know when I've completed them, and then we can talk some more.
Okay. Now, before we go, where can we follow you on social media?
You can get me on Facebook under the Taramati Master Links, and you can also hear some of the music on Reverb Nation. That would be under Master Links as well.
Okay, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Download all the artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. And make sure you follow Taramati. Look for her on Facebook under Taramati Master Links, and look for her songs on Reverb Nation. And you can check out the music video where I've just mentioned, Here I Come. It's available right now on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this episode, please subscribe by going to the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S to the end, -studio. And yes, I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting onto riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Go to the Patreon homepage, log in your email and password, where you see all of the shows done by different creators on Patreon. And don't forget to go to the top and type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, where you can check out all of my audio podcast clips and my video podcast episode clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on the Patreon, then we'll be posting this episode on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and go to the YouTube homepage and make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience. Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe by going to riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And also check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Visit facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. As always, partying, remember this: reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and please be safe.